Oishches. So previously, the Rebbe explained that the highest, the third level, and the highest level of learning the Torah for the mitzvah of Agisa b'Yom v'Laylo, that would be the level of learning Torah because of Torah itself. So the Rebbe now is going to say that even the mitzvah of V'yisa b'Yom v'Laylo is really limited. But the real level of Bligvul in the learning of Torah is learning Torah Lishma for the sake of Torah itself. Let's look inside. Ches. We can say deeper, even deeper. Shegam ha-mitzvah de v'hagisa b'yomam v'layla. Even the mitzvah of studying day and night. Day and night, basically, we said before, means there's no Hagbalah, there's no limitation. He knows all of Torah, he knows it all, and still he has to continue learning. This seems to be unlimited. But the truth is that Kivon Shaham Mitzvahs Haim Tzivuyim Lahadam. Because since the mitzvahs are commands, the Eibishter commands a person, the person needs to study. This is not unlike the Torah. The Torah is the wisdom of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is above the world. And then it descended into the Torah that we have, that we can understand. But the mitzvah melechatchila is given to a limited person. So when we're learning Torah because of the mitzvah of the we're still limited. Mitzad ha-mitzvah, the v'hagisa b'yom v'laylo, the Torah that we learn because of the mitzvah that one should be putting his energy day and night into studying Torah, so you are not getting to the Torah as it is on its own. That is Torah as it is connected to the person, which the mitzvah is to the person. But the true idea of learning Torah itself, as it is above than being connected to the person. That level of study of Torah, that is when you learn Torah for the sake of Torah. The study is not in order to fulfill the command, the mitzvah of studying Torah, but for Torah itself. Learning Torah for the sake of Torah, not for the purpose of being Mekayim mitzvah studying Torah. And the Rebbe says this makes a difference, not only what you have in mind, I'm doing a mitzvah or I'm learning for the sake of Torah, but it makes also a difference in the actual learning. Yesh lahoisif. So we can add shahamayla b'limud Torah lishma, the advantage of learning Torah for the sake of Torah, legabe, relative halimud, than the study b'chdei lekayim mitzvahs Talmud Torah, than studying just to fulfill the mitzvah of studying Torah. It's not just what the person has in mind when he's studying. But in the actual learning is a difference. Rabbi explains. The kasher alimudu b'chdei lekayim mitzvahs Talmud Torah. When you're studying in order to fulfill the mitzvah of studying Torah, so then the study alimud So then your study is limited. Because even in the mitzvah that you should study day and night, yesh kama v'kama hagbolos. There are many and many limitations, as explained in the laws of Talmud Torah. There is still limitations of how much and when one is to fulfill the mitzvah of learning constantly Yom V'Layla. However, if you learn Torah for the sake of Torah, then he does not consider the limitations, the measures. Is he obligated even under this condition? Is he obligated to do or not? He doesn't get involved. It's not about the mitzvah. It's about studying Torah. And the study of his is beyond the measure and limitation of time. And also, the mokab is also beyond any measure and any limitations of space. As our sages of blessed memory say, Gemara in Kedushin says that there's areas like where you're not supposed to think divrei Torah. The Gemara says, la'oin soy shiny, if he is forced, is different, which means even the limitations of Torah, that you have to have places in which you're not allowed to be maharer b'divrei Torah, but against his will is different. That means there is a level in which is beyond the space. And even in the space, he's la'oin seishain. Batam lozeh b'pnimus ha'inyonim. So what's the reason that this is unlimited in the inner matter of things? The mitzvah of hagisa is a command for the person. That's why it has limitations according to the person. As opposed to when we learn Torah for the sake of Torah, since the Torah as it is on its own, not as a command to learn it, but Torah itself, is beyond measure and limitation. Aruchomer, it's midah, as the pasuk says, it's longer than a measured land. Gam limud ha-Torah shel ha'adam. Therefore, also the study of Torah of the person. When he learns lishma because of Torah itself, it's in a way that the person exits and goes out from all limitations, time and space. Is non-limited, always connected to Torah, always learning Torah, always with Torah. The Rebbe says that ultimately this was the chiddush of Matan Torah, the learning of Lishma. V'yeshloim artes sha'achibur de'elyonim v'tachtonim shenischadis b'Matan Torah, that connection from the upper and the lower that was accomplished during Matan Torah, humizgale be'iker b'limud ha'Torah Lishma. Mainly that comes to revelation when we study Torah Lishma. The noise of Alzeh, for in addition to the idea, shebechidei sheyuchal liyis hachibur del yonim v'tachtonim, in order that there should be able to be that connection for the upper and the lower, who al yidei bitul hageder the elyon v'tachton, that needs to be by negating the boundaries of upper and lower, al yidei hamshachos orin sof shalom ayla mishneim, by drawing down the infinite light of Ein Sof, which is higher than both, higher than Elyon and Tachten. Kinal Siv Dalad, as we said earlier in Siv Dalad. So what would be the example by a person? When he occupies himself with Torah for the sake of Torah, then he is negating, he is not an entity, whether it's with relationship to the body, the lower of the Tachten, and also as it's negated to the soul, Elyon. So that's the higher level, which is higher than the Guf and the Neshama, the Bittel, when he's learning Torah Lishma. But that's not all, there's more than that. Hinegam achibur del yonim v'tachtonim atzmei mizgala b'limudza. It's not just that he is their level of bittul, but the connection of elyonim tachtonim itself is revealed in this learning. Shahabligvul the Torah elyonim, the bligvul of Torah elyonim poyel ala odom tachtonim impacts the person. The tachtonim shalimud haTorah. So that impacts him, that his study of Torah, as we said before, through the level of Torah Lishma, there is nobody that does Hagbolas. That's accomplished because the Elyonim accomplished that in the Tachtonim. And that is something that is revealed in the study of Lishma. Yes, Lahaisa, we can add. So it's not just that we're saying that the Bli Gvul is impacting and making the Gavul, that he should be higher than Agbola, but it's actually a greater level of Bli Gvul from Torah. Through the Bli Gvul of Torah, that it impacts also the person, that the person becomes bligvul. And similar to through this is the fact that the Torah comes down below altogether. That reveals the bligvul of Torah even more than what the Torah is bligvul without that descent and without that impact and making the Tachtonim bligvul. The Zeshat Torah he bligvul. It tells you that the Torah is no limit. It's not in the place and the level of Torah that Torah is bligvul in its upper place. But that it comes down, that level of bligvul comes down below. And also as it comes down below, as it's extended below, you could feel openly the bligvul. So its bligvul is not limited to the level of Torah in its place, but you see the bligvul as it's nimshach lamata, we can still feel the bligvul. So that also the study of the person is in the level of bligvul. Yud. The question the Rebbe started off in the Maimer was, why do we need Mesiras Nefesh for Torah? That Kimu v'Kiblu was through Mesiras Nefesh. Most of the mitzvahs we don't. There's a chai b'hem. So the Rebbe says, "Api kol hanal yesh leimar." So based on the above, we can say hatam, the reason. Al zeh shegemar kabbalas haTorah v'kibul hiYehudim. At the end, when the receiving of Torah, which is the kibul hiYehudim, totally b'mesiras nefesh, hinges on mesiras nefesh. Ki hachibur de elyonim v'tachtonim, because the connection of elyonim v'tachtonim, which is the chiddush of Matan Torah, is connecting elyonim tachtonim, who al yidei bitul hagdorim v'hametziyas de elyonim v'tachton. That is by negating the boundaries and the existence and the entities of upper and lower to make there is no upper and no lower, because it penetrates, it connects the upper, it penetrates and impacts the lower canal. And therefore, in order to be the wholesomeness of receiving the Torah, which is the chibur of Elyon Tachtonim, hutzrach liyes habitl mesidas nefesh, needed to be the level of subjugation mesidas nefesh. And it's not sufficient potentially, which they had at the time as well, as the Rebbe asked in the beginning, they accepted to do the mitzvahs, whatever, nasiv and nishma with mesidas nefesh, but it's different when it actually comes out b'poil. The af shegam b'shas matan Torah, even though that also in the time of matan Torah, k'shomru nasiv and nishma, when the Yidden said we will do and then we will listen, kiblu aleim lasis kol mashi yitztavu, so they accepted to do, they accepted by them to do as all as they were commanded. Even if this would require self-sacrifice. As long for the time that the mesidas nefesh is only in potential, then it's from the neshama, but it's not in the body. But we need the body to be also the level of bittul. Since the subjugations through which we create that connection in tachtonim, has to be both in the upper, in the tachten, that connection of elyon tachtonim. Lochein, hashleimus the kabbalah satoida tluya b'mesidas nefesh b'poil. The wholesome and the completion of receiving Torah hinges on literal mesidas nefesh in actuality. Mesidas nefesh bepoil hi behaguf nefesh abetivis, because the mesidas nefesh actually practically is in the body and the natural soul. And now the Rebbe is going to explain the difference we asked before. Specifically, Kibbul HaYehudim was by Purim and not by Chanukah. Based on this, we also understand the advantage of the mesidas nefesh from Purim over the mesidas nefesh of Chanukah. Kigam ha-mesidas nefesh bepoil he beikir mitzad neshama. The truth is that even when you have literal mesidas nefesh, practically, it comes mainly from the soul. But what happens is the self-sacrifice of the soul, it influences also the body and the animal soul and the natural soul, but it comes mitzad neshama. Omekivon. But since shaguv v'nefesh hativis mitzad inyonom, and since the body and the animal soul from their matter, hemitzias, they're still an entity. Lochein hagilu de matan Torah hachibud el yenim v'tachtonim. So therefore, the revelation of matan Torah, which is to connect the upper and the lower, shenimshach behem ayidei habitl mesidas nefesh mitzad neshama, which comes to them through the bittul of the self-sacrifice of the soul, which impacts the body, but it's still not the body from its own perspective. It's being influenced by outside. Hudover noisef aleim, that's something added to them, to the body of the nefesh hativis from the outside, from the impact of the neshama. And this is the advantage of Purim mesidas nefesh over the mesidas nefesh of Chanukah. Shebepurim hoyu betachlis habitls v'hashiflus gam metzad haguf. That on Purim they were in total subjugation, negation, and degraded also from the body perspective. They were totally hefker, ownerless. Anybody can kill them. Anybody who wish can kill them. And in natural ways, there was no way to save yourself from it. They could have denied Hashem. We said from Torah before that it's if it was only because they were Yehudim, but if they wanted to change their religion, they would be spared. Also, although the Gzeira was only on Yehudim, and if they would be denying, God forbid, they would not do to them anything. Sif Aleph Metorah as brought down before in Sif Aleph Metorah Mikol Mokoim. But still, since the decree then was not for against observing Torah mitzvahs, it was on the body, to kill and destroy, God forbid. Nimtzo, turns out, that bodily wise they were on the lowest extreme. The kasher hagzeira hi ala Torah mitzvahs. When the decree is on Torah mitzvahs, like by Chanukah, shagzeira so lashkichem Torah sechol lavirim chukuritzanecha, which the gzeira was to make them forget the Torah and to remove them from the statutes that you want them to do. That is mainly Torah mitzvahs. She'im b'kaim Torah mitzvahs yahargu, say that if he's going to do Torah mitzvahs, they'll kill him azai. So then haguf mitzad inyonoi einok hefker. The guf from his perspective is not hefker. Mashen ken k'shag gezeidehi laharig ulahabit chaz v'sholem. But when the decree is to kill and destroy, God forbid, elo sheyesh lo yefshorus li notzel me'hagzeira al yidei sheyichper chaz v'sholem. But he has a possibility that's by Purim, by denying Mekivon shagzeira larig oisehi al haguf. The gezeidah to kill him is loy mipnei she'neretz lichper. It's not because he doesn't want to deny. They want to kill him. El haguf. He could get out of it. But the attack, the target is the guf. Nimtzo shaguf mitzad anyonoi hu kehefker. The guf from his matter is hefker. Bezehu mashal yideya mesidas nefesh the Purim davke. This is why through the mesidas nefesh of Purim, specifically Hoya Hagamar Vashlemus the Kabbalas HaTorah, was the end and the completion of Matan Torah, of receiving the Torah, was dafke the bodily mesidas nefesh that took place during Purim, that mesidas nefesh. Because their bittul was also from the body perspectives. That's why they became vessels to receive the Torah. Both from the perspective of the soul and also from the body. So that's why Stavke Purim, not even Chanukah. That we say v'kibel haYehudim on Purim. This is also what it says in the Maimers. That's why he says that they were in total degraded level, also physically. Because with this, he hints to the reason how come they were kelim for the revelation Matan Torah, gam mitzad haguf, also from the body.